We'll start the class with 3 ohms. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are doing a very beautiful text called Sruti Sara Samudharanam. This, as I have pointed out last week, is written by a direct disciple of Shankaracharya called Totakacharya. Generally, we don't come across many texts like this, but this is a very rare text. And like Naishkarmya Siddhi, this text also is an advanced text. Last week, I covered in one session a summary of the whole text. Today and maybe next week, 1 or 2 sessions, I will be doing some highlights from this text to get you a little bit flavor of what this whole text means. We have seen that this text basically consists of 179 verses, and the main subject matter in this text is what we have seen in Brahma Jnana Valli, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. That is the essence of this text. The same essence is there in Naishkarmya Siddhi. The same essence will be there in Vichara Sagara also. So 3 texts we are going to cover. We have finished Naishkarmya Siddhi. We are doing this text by Totakacharya, and the next text also will be Vichara Sagara, containing the same essential nature. We have seen what this essence of all the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita, all of them, they point out to us that there is some unifying force, one entity, which is the entire cause for the entire creation. We are trying to learn about that one force. We call it Brahman in Vedanta. We can call it by any name, but we are all discussing only one subject, one topic. And then the scriptures point out, if we are able to understand that I, the soul who is living in this body, is able to understand that that Brahman, that unifying force in this creation, we are one in our essential nature. That is what the Shruti wants to teach, which is what is said between verses 9 to 39. And then we saw last week the difference between what is Chit and Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa means a reflection of that pure consciousness, that unifying force, that pure Brahman, that when it gets reflected in the mind, inside the mind, the chit becomes chit abhasa, a reflection. So all the time in waking, dream and sleep, what we are experiencing is not the original consciousness, but the reflection in our body, in our mind. That is what was taught by the difference between Chit and Chidabhasa. Chit, we can never experience. Pure consciousness, we can never experience. It is only knowledge we can say, I am that consciousness. Aham Brahma Asmi. That's all. We cannot say, I have seen Chit, I have seen myself as pure consciousness. No, it's not possible. We will see why it's not possible today. And then there were certain objections which are there from 40 to 104. And then the main topic which we will be highlighting is why Jiva is not the mind. Today, that is our first topic, which is what we're going to discuss. Then what we will be discussing is this Avastha Trayam. That means the Mahavakya portion, which tells us that we are one with that infinite consciousness. That then we will study the three states of waking, dream, and sleep. And then some highlights will be on why we say that this creation is an appearance. We will be studying that topic perhaps next week, may not be today. And then throughout these 2-3 sessions which we'll be doing, we must remember that the Shruti is trying to reveal our own identity, our own self. So while we are discussing this, we must learn to apply the knowledge to ourselves. Because these 3 advanced texts are written by disciples, the way they have understood and realized the self. How did they realize? How a direct disciple of Shankaracharya, by going through this analysis of Avastha Trayam, how did he understand that he is the Atma? That is what we are able to learn from this particular text, Totakacharya's text. So this beautiful text, consisting of 179 verses, is a text. If possible, you should learn it after some time, not now, of course, but most of you have. Those of you who have done the Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, you can take this text and study, do a self-study. And you can apply it and see how I can get this firm knowledge. With that, I will go straight into the highlights now, and we will see some of the verses. Just to give you an idea of how this entire teaching takes place in this particular text. Here, in this particular verse, Totakacharya says that this ego, which I experience, the doer, the enjoyer, this I, which I experience all day long, from morning to evening, throughout our life, what we experience in whole of our lifetime is this ego I. This ego I is nothing but the mind plus the reflected consciousness. We should be very clear in our technical definition of the mind, the ego, the pure chit. We must be very clear in this, because this is the way the teaching, unless until you know these technical terms very clearly in the mind, Chit means the pure Brahman, pure consciousness. It is always there. That is the goal of our study, to understand that better. So here, in this verse, Totakaracharya says that this aham vritti, I thought, is not Atma. It can never become an attribute of Atma. Therefore, we should know that this aham, 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 what we experience in the entire waking state, the same aham also experienced in dream state, the same aham also experienced in the sleep state. Ahamkara is being experienced. But what is the illuminator of this ahamkara is Atma. That differentiation we should clearly understand, that there is a light, even during my waking state, there is some light called as the light of Atma, which is making me aware about this body. It is making me aware of the mind, the subtle mind. It is also the life force in this body and this entire universe for all activities. It is so powerful, this Atma or Brahman. At the totality level, it's called as Brahman. At the individual level, it is called the self or Atma. But this Atma is different than the Ahamkara, which is a reflected Atma. The reflection comes and goes in the three states. This is what Totakacharya emphasizes in this text again and again and again. Mandukya Upanishad clearly states that you are Turiya, you are that pure consciousness. But here, Totakacharya takes that idea and teaches us how I can be the Atma, the Turiyam, the pure consciousness, and how I have to drop this physical body, mind, into the universe and say that belongs to the universe. It belongs to Ishvara. It belongs to the God principle, which is the principle which controls this universe. We'll see more about that in the Mahavakya Vichara. Now, why do we say mind, ahamkara, is not Atma? Atma means, last week I have discussed, there are 5 points we should always remember about Atma and Anatma. That Viveka, that discrimination is being brought out again here. We can use this discrimination either for discriminating the physical body or the mind or the universe. Because all three are Jadam. Jadam means inert. Number one, we say the mind is not me because I am the consciousness principle. Mind is the seer and not the seen. Mind is this seen and I am the seer. Drishyatva means it is experienced. Mind is experienced, but I am the experiencer, Atma. The second point is Bhautikatva. Bhautikatva means mind is made up of thoughts. Thoughts are made up of material. They are subtle elements in motion. Like if you go back to remember what the subtle body is made up of, you will remember that it is made up of the 5 elements only. The same 5 elements before they become gross, before the Panchikaranam process, they are subtle in nature, and that is what is the thought. That is what is the mind. But what is illumining this mind is Atma. So Atma is abhautikatvam, adrishyatvam. Mind is bhautikatvam, drishyatvam. These are Sanskrit names. Try to get used to these names if possible, because the same names are used again and again in different texts. Otherwise, just know the English meanings, that's also enough. The factor why mind is not Atma, because Atma is defined in the Upanishads as Nirgunam. Nirgunam means without any attributes. Whereas mind has got a lot of attributes. And it has got mainly two main attributes. It is made up of Rajas and Tamas. Rajas means what? Activity. It is made up of it is made up. It is Rajas means it is always chanchalam. It is always moving. It is always, it is never stationary. It's going from one object to another object. The whole day we are just looking at the objects of the world. So what happens is it is sagunam. It has got the sattva guna, it has got the rajas guna, it has got the tamo guna. Three gunas it is made up of. The next, fourth condition, why we say ahamkara, the mind, I notion is not the Atma, is because Atma is nirvikara. Nirvikara means it is, there is no change in Atma. Whereas mind sometimes is happy, sometimes is sad, sometimes it is agitated, sometimes it is peaceful, sometimes there are so many conditions. Vikaram modifies. Knowledge, ignorance, both are conditions of the mind. It is not the condition of Atma. The last point is Agama Pahitvam. Agama Pahitvam means it comes and goes. But Atma never comes and goes, it is always there. The illuminator Atma, the experiencer Atma is different. It is always Satya. It is always existing. It never changes. It has no gunas. It is not made up of material or five elements. It is experienced, but it is experiencer, not the experienced. So once we understand these five qualities, we can sit in meditation and think about these five elements about our own mind. And then differentiate, I am not the mind, I am the seer of the mind. This is what is the teaching in this particular verse. Then this in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is a very big Upanishad which I have discussed before also. There is a section, chapter called as Swayam Jyoti Brahmanam. There it clearly says that this ahamkara, it rises during the waking state and it gets resolved in sushupti, in sleep. And therefore, this ahamkara, the I thought, is like like the thoughts of the world. It is also one of the thoughts of the material mind. And what we do in Mahavakyam, in the final stage of our realization, we say, I am not the physical body, I am not the sense organs, I am not the mind, and I am not the individuality. I am not Uma, I am not so and so. So that name is given to a body and mind only. Atma is only one. It is the same Atma in my body, your body, in the entire body of the whole universe. So what we do is, when we do the Mahavakya Vichara, what we do is we hand over these four things: the body, sense organs, mind, and individuality. You say, I am not this. And then in meditation, we try to seek that knower principle, the seeker. Understand the nature of the seeker as Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Once we reach that, we can say that I am that pure consciousness. So the bride is ready, the bridegroom is ready. The Tvam Pada means that the relation, the bride here means, I'm just as an example. I, from the I know how to differentiate the Atma from the four parts which we have seen now. Then from the world, which is an appearance of the creator, from Ishvara, Tatpada, we also remove the name, form, and then we see that easiness in the creation. Once we are able to remove the variable factors, then we say that pure consciousness is the same as pure existence which we experience in the world. That is how the Mahavakyam is built up. So now let us try to understand from 34 to 39. These are Totakacharya, what he does is, so from this verse 34 onwards, he gives us how to look at that oneness, how to look at that unifying force, and how does Shruti, how does the scriptures, they try to reveal this one unique entity called Brahman or Atma. How is it revealed in the scriptures? That is what we are going to quickly study. We'll see the different quotations which are there from the Upanishads, and to give an idea, and it will help us to understand that Tvam Pada I. This is just how the Mahavakyam is always analyzed. When we analyze the Mahavakyam, we say there are two elements regarding the I. One is called as the direct meaning, another is called as the indirect meaning, implied meaning. The direct meaning of I is the body, mind, and sense, and ahamkara. This is the direct meaning. When I say I am so and so, it means that I includes the direct meaning, and it also includes the indirect meaning, which is called as Lakshyartha, which is called as Sakshi Atma. So from this I drop the body, mind, and then I retain only the consciousness portion. That consciousness portion, I equate it to the creator. And what is the creator? He also has a direct meaning. The direct meaning of the creator is the whole world. Creator is nothing else, but there is only me, the body, and the world. So the world is nothing else but the creator. His form, that is Vishnu form, is this entire Jagat. So from this world, I remove the name and form. I retain only the existence part. Is. The isness of the world never goes away. Isness always remains. So that isness is called as pure existence. That isness is the cause of the creation. Existence principle, finally, the pure existence principle is the cause of creation. Then I say the consciousness in me is the same as that pure existence principle, and that is why we have this Aikyam. Aikyam means oneness. And once I am able to understand that pure consciousness in me is the same as the pure existence, which is the cause of the creation, then I can claim that I am always there. Because when I look at myself as only the body, I am a finite entity. But then when I am looking at myself, not only as the body, mind, and consciousness, but when I say that this consciousness is the same as the cause of the whole universe, then I bring in the element of existence into me. The existence which is experienced in all the planets, the whole cosmos, including my body. My body is existence. So I learn to understand that there is a principle which is unifying the whole universe with this consciousness principle, making it as one Nirguna Brahman. When we say Paramatma, it means Sagunam. Sagunam means with qualities, with attributes. Jivatma means it is with attributes of the body, mind, sense organs. Paramatma also means the same Chetana Tattvam, the conscious entity, the existence entity in the whole universe. In Dakshinamurti Stotram, the verse number 3, Yasyaiva Swaranam Sadatmakam Asatkalpartakam Bhasate. This Sat aspect has been defined in the third verse of the Dakshinamurti Stotra. And that it says in that verse that existence principle is the same as the consciousness principle, which is revealed in Tattvamasi Mahavakya. The five, normally we have seen there are 5 factors connected with consciousness. We have seen this before. It is not, consciousness is not a product or property of the body. It is what it is independent entity. We have seen this before. The same 5 principles which we apply to consciousness, we also apply to the existence principle. Existence is not a product, property of any object in creation. It is an independent entity, but it pervades the entire universe. It is not limited by the boundary of any object. That means existence is covering the whole universe. And it exists after disintegration of all the objects of the universe. That means even if the whole universe gets dissolved in pralayam, the existence aspect still remains intact. Pure existence, pure consciousness, the experiencer consciousness never dies. It is never lost, even when the whole creation goes away. Therefore, I can easily say I am imperishable Atma. This is the teaching which we are trying to understand. We learn to drop our body, mind, and then get attached to that pure existence consciousness principle. In Chandogya Upanishad, it says that you are that self. And then we have seen this Tattvamasi Vakyam in Chandogya Upanishad. And in Mundaka Upanishad also, I have covered this verse before. The Paramatma bird and the Jivatma bird, both are there in the same tree. In the same body, that pure consciousness is there and the Ahamkara is there. Both are there. So the Ahamkara has to learn to drop along with the body and mind and then get attached to the Atma, which is the Paramatma bird. We generally, now we go a little bit deeper into the mind. We witness 2 thoughts in the body. That means I, aham. Aham. The whole day we say aham means I, the subject. The subject throughout the waking hours remains the same. Aham, aham, aham. I am, I am. Idam means what? Objective thoughts. The objective thoughts, like when I go to office, I have the same consciousness take the shape of the objects of the office. Now, the consciousness in me gets reflected in the mind. That mind takes the different thoughts of the world, which are called as idam thought. Idam means objective thought, this thought. And these two thoughts, why we understand, why we are getting into this aham and idam thought is to understand that these two thoughts are not there in the sleep state. This is how we try to differentiate what is the difference between the sleep state and the waking state. And why are we doing this analysis? To understand Sakshi, that there is a Sakshi, there is a seer of these two thoughts. So Sakshi illumines the aham and idam vritti, the thoughts in the active state of the mind, and in the passive state of the mind, it drops these two vrittis. And then it only has a vritti, I don't know. I don't know my body, I don't know the world, I don't know anything. That is a thought which is witnessed by the consciousness, by the Sakshi. So this verse talks about the Mahavakyam, that there is one conscious entity which is the seeing, which is the seer of these two thoughts in the mind, and it is also the seer of the passive mind, the blank state of the mind, and this mind is not me. Now from 35 onwards, the Totakacharya gives different examples of the Shruti Vakyam. Shruti means it tells us which are the places in the scriptures. He gives us 7 different support, 7 verses of different Upanishads. He gives us from the next verse onwards. Here he just tells us that our experience, our experience is that I am worried, I am embodied in the soul. But why do we say that I, this Atma, is different from this Ahamkara, which is worried? That is what Totakacharya says, that I will explain to you by Shruti examples. Yukti means reasoning, and by experience of this Atma. How I will explain to you using Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhava. I will explain to you Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Sakshi. Sorrow is an object of experience, but it is different from me. That is what we should learn. Even while I'm experiencing sorrow, I am Ananda Swarupa. I am the Atma. Sorrow belongs to the Anatma mind, but Atma is always unconnected with the mind. That is what is the teaching. Atma can never be experienced in its original form. Like, I cannot say that today I have experienced Atma. You can say, yes, I know I am Atma. Even but how come I experience happiness in the mind? During some of the waking hours, we experience happiness. But in Vivek Chudamani, we have seen that this happiness which we experience in our mind is a reflected happiness. That reflected happiness is called as Pratibimba Ananda. Whereas the original Ananda of the Atma is called as Bimba Ananda. Bimba Ananda means it is original Ananda. It is Pratibimba means the reflected. Bimba means like my face. I am called Bimba. My face is called Bimba, original. When I see the reflection of my face in the mirror, it is called as Pratibimba, reflected face. So Atma is always of the nature of happiness because that is its nature. Nature means what? It is its Swarupa. Whereas the reflection of happiness is a thought. When conducive situation is there outside for us, when everything is going fine at home, when everything is going fine in the office, condition of the mind changes. So everything is, what happens is that mind is in a peaceful condition. It is not thinking about any sorrow, neither in the office, neither at home, neither anywhere outside. So then it is only reflecting the pure nature of the mind, which is a sattvic condition of the mind. My own Atma is getting reflected in the mind, and I say, I am very peaceful today. We can take an opposite experience. I go to the office, things are not working fine. I go at home, things are absolutely in a mess. I go outside, the bus never stops for me in the bus stop. Everything is upside down. My mind is turbulent. And I learned earlier, before this knowledge of Atma, I used to say, oh, I'm suffering. You know, the whole world is against me. I don't know why people are behaving so badly with me. You know, that is our general comment about the world, because we don't know that I am different than the mind. So this knowledge helps us in our day-to-day life. I learn to say my mind is disturbed. And I am not going to be objectified with the mind as me. I will handle the situation to the best extent possible, but I will not claim that as my situation. It is a situation in the day-to-day life. It will always be, the world will always be up and down, up and down. Happiness will come, happiness will go. Joy will come, joy will go. There are so many events which will come, it will go, but they are all passing phases. So this experience of this, what the Upanishad says is, you are Nitya Shuddha, pure, Nirmalaha, without any impurities in the mind. You are Atma. Mind has got impurities, but I am different than the mind. Muktaha. Muktaha means I am free from the mind, because Atma can exist by itself, as we know that we all exist in sleep. I am not a Buddhu. I am a Mukta person. I am Atma. So, and we have to take that this is a fact of life. It's a fact of creation. That is what the Upanishad teaches us, that this Atma is nothing but it is to be taken as a fact of whole creation. 36th verse onwards is 7 support of the Mahavakyams. I will just quickly run through this, because some of this I have taken it in other classes before. Some of it, most of these are fairly well-known verses from the Upanishad. So I'll quickly run through these 7 verses. And then also the other aspects of why we say that I am the Atma, I am not the mind. This goes on up to verse number 39, 36, 37, 38, 39. The first verse is given in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. We have just seen this verse in our Saturday class last week, where we said that in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a lady who comes and fights, or she says, do you know this Atma? Then Yagnavalkya, the teacher, says, yes, I know the Atma. And he says, Atma is immutable. Immutable means it is never changing. And Atma is never thought, it is never known, it is never heard, it is never seen, it is always the knower, thinker, and hearer, or the seer. It is the witness. There is no other witness in the whole creation except this one Atma. That is what is a teaching in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. That Atma, that Brahman is myself. And there is only one, the same Brahman in Bhagavad Gita, is the name given to it is Kshetraknyaha, the seer, the hearer. Not Kshetram. Kshetram is the inert portion, this insentient portion. Second one is from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also. Again, a very similar verse. And what it here it says is the self that is within all is this Atma. All the self which is within all means what? It is within the whole creation, not only in that power behind this body, it is the power behind the entire creation. There is only one power that is this Atma. In all these verses, we have to see that the Upanishad is trying to tell us that the whole creation, including the body, there is only one unifying force. That is what we should gather, which is called as Brahma, that is why we say Aham Brahma Asmi. I am that unifying force. Then there is another vakyam of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad this is from Antaryami Brahmanam. What it says in this Upanishad is that there is one inner controller, inner ruler. How does my prana go, inhale and exhale happens the whole day? Because there is a force, there is a power in this body. That power is what I'm seeking. What is that power? The Upanishad tells me I am that one power which controls, which is there in this body, in the individual body, as well as it is in the outside world. And that is the immortal self. Each of these Upanishads, Antaryami Brahmanam, they're all very, very big sections. Here, I'm just taking just a simple one line, one verse from that, which is the most important aspect of that particular section. Chandogya Upanishad, we know this verse very well, Tattvamasi verse, that unifying force is you. That's what the teacher tells us. Then another Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it also says that this self is the substratum for the entire universe. Everything in this universe is consciousness existence. Kathopanishad, this particular verse which says what is indeed here, that means what is there in this body and what is indeed there, which is there in the whole universe, is this invisible Brahman. And whoever sees the difference, that means what I have to note is, if I keep on thinking I am different from the world, I'm different from everybody else, then then you will never be able to realize this oneself. Kathopanishad very clearly says, drop the Bheda Bhava. Bheda Bhava means stop seeing the differences in the universe. Say everything belongs to that one Atma, one Brahman, which is what we call as Advaitam. Advaitam means there is no two in the world, there is only one non-dual entity in this entire universe. We all start as Dasoham. Dasoham means I am the worshipper. You are God, you are the worshipped. But then we say, you and me finally are the same. This is the end of the teaching. This is given by Bhagavan himself, because Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am in you. In chapter 10, verse number 20, he says, Aham Atma Gudakesha. That means I am there in you. And that is what we are trying to realize in this Upanishads statements. Why we don't realize this Atma is because of Paranchikani Vivavritranat Swayambhuhu. That means that sense organs are, by manufacturing defect, they are outgoing. That means the sense organs cannot look inside, but they are always looking outside of the world. The sounds we want to see, if we want to hear, the forms we want to see, it's all, the sense organs are always going outside. It is only with the help of the knowledge of Atma, I try to understand that all the sense organs, they depend on the mind. And the mind depends on Atma. So everything depends on the observer, me, the consciousness. So in all these 7 quotations, what we have seen is that the lakshyartha, indirect meaning of the jiva, is identical with the lakshyartha of Paramatma, the indirect meaning of the creator. Keno Upanishad also 4 or 5 verses are there which says that speech cannot be revealed by speech cannot reveal Atma because Atma is the cause of the speech. Then Atma, one cannot feel Atma with the mind because Atma is the feeler. It is the hearer, it is the feeler, it is the seer, it is the, in the next verse it says your Atma is the seer, it is not the seen. Then hearer, not the heard. The breather, that means it is not the breathe. It is not the air which we breathe, but the one which is behind the breath is Atma. Then, so this is a summary of the what we have seen in this 37 verses. It is not seen by the eyes, not heard by the ears, and so on. Even in Bhagavad Gita, in the chapter 9, the Lord says, my higher being is the great Lord of all the beings. That means when we go to sleep, all the beings, this rest in whom? They all rest in this one principle unifying force called as Atma. The same Atma, which is where we go and sleep. That means when my mind sleeps, it rests in this one unifying force. That is why in many Upanishads, they say very clearly in the Upanishad that in sleep condition, we are one with that pure consciousness. These are again another description in Kathopanishad which says the different things that Atma is without the sound, without the touch, without the form, it has no decay. These are all the ways in which the Upanishad describes Atma. Atma is the support, adhishtanam, and it is the final goal of our study. Only when we recognize this Atma, then we can say that I have come to the end of my spiritual study. I know Aham Brahmasmi is the final goal. The next verse 39 talks about a little bit more about the 5 features of the consciousness, which we have seen before. Dakshinamurti is the 6th stotram, which says about how the Atma gets covered because of Maya Shakti. Normally, when we study the Vedanta, there are 2 steps. One is, first, we separate the Anatma from the 3 bodies. Then what we do is, we unite the Paramatma Chaitanyam with the Atma of the Jiva. These are the 2 steps which we follow in order to realize that we are all one pure consciousness, one reality principle. So that is one section of how Totakacharya, through the Mahavakya, emphasizes that I am not the mind, I am not the Ahamkara. The portion from I am not the Ahamkara portion is discussed from 9 to 33. From 33 onwards, till this 106, what we see is the portion where where the Mahavakyam is discussed, and through the different scriptural statements, we understand that there is one entity called as pure consciousness, which is the substratum for the entire universe. Now, from this 107 onwards, till till 113, we are going to see the three states of consciousness. We are going to revisit Mandukya Upanishad now. This is another topic which we will study in this in our highlight portion. This is a revision of the Mandukya portion. What it says is that the three states, they belong to the mind. That is, and they are not the property of Atma. And we have to learn to separate these three states from Atma by saying, I am Asangaha. Asangaha means I am unconnected with the three states of the mind. And unless until I drop these three states, I will not be able to accept that I am that pure consciousness. So mind, and how do I drop this ahamkara, me and my mind? Mind means mamakara, me means ahamkara. How do I learn to drop these two things? That is what is being taught by learning to say that mind is neither me and mind is not mine also. We appreciate the mind and we do all our transactions. While doing transactions, we don't make all this differences during transaction stage. We must fully focus on the activities. Never bring the thought of Atma and so on while you are transacting in the world. Only when we want to understand who am I, when that question pops up, this knowledge should come up. Mind is an instrument, it is not me or it is not mine. It is an instrument I use in the waking state to do the transactions, and I deliberately disown that mind as not my real nature. The 108th verse is just a general negation of ahamkara, which consists and which gets involved with the indriyas, with the sense organs, and it has got the three gunas of sattva, rajas, and tamas. And I say they are not mine. They are not me or mine. And in the 109th verse, it says they are not mine. Therefore, I learn to drop the nature of ahamkara as not Atma. This Atma, once I learn to drop them, then what happens is the three gunas which express in the form of three avasthas, I learn to say that these three avasthas are also not me or not mine. Avastha Trayam, in 110th verse, they talk about the Jagrat Avastha, 111 is dream, 112 is Sushupti. We are in and through these three states, but I am not the three states because they belong to the mind. Let us see each of these three states, and in the first state of 110, what it says is, in the Jagrat Avastha, I am called as Vishwa. Vishwa means this is a name given to a waker. And in the sleep, in the dream state, the same waker is given a name called as Taijasa. And in the sleep state, he is given another name called as Pragya. So these three states belong to the Vishwa, Taijasa, Pragya, but it does not belong to the Atma, the Turiyam. Even just by listening to the Mandukya Upanishad that these three states are not me, it gives punya. That's what it says, that the scriptures tell us that listening to the Veda itself gives us punyam. It gives us the peace of mind. It gives us some phalam which I can enjoy in my day-to-day living. In this, in the waking state, the mind is extroverted. That extroverted condition of the mind is called as the Jagrat Avastha, the waking state. And in this state, in the waking state, the mind is identified with the gross body. Then this is just additional side information that Prakarna Granthas means the texts are Tattvabodha, Atmabodha, Vivek Chudamani. These are the Panchadasi, these are the initial texts. The Vedanta real Granthas are the three, Gita, Upanishad and Brahma Sutra. Prakarna Granthas are the advanced stage are Sruti Sara. The advanced texts are Naishkarmya Siddhi. Even Dridrishya Viveka is supposed to be an advanced text when compared to the Tattvabodha and Atmabodha. Just as a side information. So the extrovertedness of the mind is the waking state. The dream state is the introvertedness state of the mind. And when mind is neither extroverted or introverted, it is called as the passive state. Mind plays the recorded messages of the Jagrat Avastha in the dream state. That means this is a recording state. Jagrat Avastha is where we record all our experiences in the mind. It belongs to the mind. I, the Sakshi, don't have any connection with this Avastha of the mind. So the Sakshi is different than the Vishwa. Vishwa is the name given to the waker. Similarly, in the dream state, what happens is this, how is it different? In the dream state, it is only introvertedness of the mind, which is the Swapna Avastha. And this Swapna Avastha, what happens? It is just replaying the tape, what I have seen in the Jagrat. The vasanas, which are imprints in the mind, imprinted in the mind, they are generated again. And what is seeing this? It is the Atma, the light of Atma is illuminating the dream condition. In the dream condition, we all will know it is not the sunlight which illumines my mind. It is not a tube light or a bulb which illumines my mind in dream state, but it is the inner light. That inner light is called as Atma. Dream is a beautiful example of knowing our consciousness state, that we are that light of consciousness. The same light of consciousness, when it is in deep sleep condition, it illumines a blank state of Sushupti, that there is nothing in this universe. But it is an illumination of Atma. So the scriptures want us to go deep into our own nature. You see, when we are in the waking state, if somebody tries to explain to me, I am Satchit Ananda, I am the pure consciousness, it's very, very difficult for us to understand this consciousness. Because this consciousness is mixed up with the mind and body and the universe. But the same, when we try to introspect and understand our condition in the dream state and the sleep state, then we get to know what is this consciousness. That is why it is important for us to study the three states and then arrive at Atma. And Totakacharya brings out very beautifully in this particular section how these three states are only belonging to the mind, and it is not connected with the Atma, which is the illuminator. The illuminator can exist independently also, without the body and the mind. The sleep condition, when mind is neither extrovert or introvert, it is in passive, blank state of no experience, is called as Sushupti. And the name given to me in Sushupti is Prajna. The three states belong to the mind, they are mutually exclusive. That means what? I don't see what in the Jagrat Avastha form, I don't see it in the dream. The dream, I don't see it in the waking. The Sushupti in sleep, whatever I experience, I don't see it in the waking or the dream. They are exclusive, but who illuminates all the three is Atma. I don't negate the experience part, but what I negated, I am not connected with the three states. Sambandha is negated, but not the experience part. Very important point. Each avastha is connected to the three gunas. Jagrat, the waking is generally said it is a Rajas Pradhanam or Sattva Pradhanam. Why Sattva Pradhanam? Because I am I'm getting all the knowledge from the sense organs. And I am doing activity. Why is Swapna called as Sattva Guna Pradhanam and Rajo Guna Pradhanam? Because the Rajas Guna is what is the Rajo Guna of the mind. It is mind is active and I am able to, the Atma illumines the Rajasic nature of the mind. But Sattva is not predominant because my sense organs are closed. My gross sense organs are closed. I get a new body. That is a different, that's a subtle body. Sushupti is what? It's purely Tamoguna. Tamoguna means inertia. I don't feel like doing anything. So when I'm tired, what it means is my Tamoguna is active. That's all. See, even during waking hours, suppose on a Sunday afternoon, I feel very sleepy. I feel tired. It is Tamoguna of the mind. So I just go and take a short nap, and then when I wake up again afterwards, I freshen up, the mind becomes fresh again. Again, I'm able to work actively in the waking. I can study, I can write, I can read. Again, I go to sleep. These are all the conditions which belong to the mind. And I am that pure consciousness always there. There is no change in the illuminator. Right from the beginning of birth till date, the consciousness has not changed. I am that Gunatita Nirguna Atma. Atma alone is the Turiam without any connection to the three avasthas. That is what is mentioned in this verse. That this verse is the end portion of the Avastha Trayam. Why Turiam is called the fourth state? Turiam means consciousness. Is the same as Sakshi. Turiam is not, this is an important verse to understand. So try to understand why we say Turiam is not the fourth state. If it is the fourth state, it will be mutually, if it is, then it will be mutually exclusive. When Turiam is there, Vishwa Taijasa will not be there. It is not, you see, what they say is that Turiam is a pure consciousness state, but for our understanding, we say that this is the fourth state because we want to differentiate the three states from the consciousness. But actually speaking, in our own mind, we must know that this Atma is not the fourth state of consciousness. It is the state it is a state which is there in all the three states. Atma is the illuminator of the waker. Atma is the illuminator of the dreamer. Atma is the illuminator, the light principle which illumines the sleeper also. So don't try to say, I will try to experience that Turiyam Atma. So don't commit that blunder. That's what it says in this particular verse. Don't commit the blunder that I will be able to see Turiyam. It's not possible. Like the gold is there in the ring, bangle, and chain, Turiyam is there in Jagrat, Sushupti, and Swapna. These are the three functional names of the mind. It is different. Atma, Turiyam is different than the mind and its attributes. The attributes of the mind are the three states. But Atma is there all the time. So this is what we must always remember. That is why we say we are immortal in our mind. In our real nature, I am always there. Only thing is, well, I will not be able to experience a dream state or a waking state or exactly like in sleep state, I am there without any experience. So my Turiyam experience, Atma experience is exactly like the sleep state. Waking and dream comes and goes because of the mind and the body. And why do we take the body? Because of karma, old karma, some imprints are there in the mind, it keeps on coming and going. When I say I am the waker, Vishwa, then I say the waking state belongs to me. At that time, at time of mistake, I am the, basically I say I should say I am the Turiyam light principle, which is illuminating the waking state. I am not the Vishwa, but I am the Turiyam. This is a point which we learn after coming to the scriptures. The Jagrat Avastha, that means the waking state, does not have any connection to me, the consciousness. I am called Turiyam, the same consciousness is called as Turiyam. And it is in and through all the states. Like what? Like the moonlight and the sun. When we compare the moonlight and the sun, what we say is the moonlight we are able to experience. But actually the moonlight belongs to what? It belongs to the sun. We continue to experience the moonlight as moonlight, but we understand in our own intellect that I experience the moonlight, but the moonlight is actually sunlight. So like the wise man will say, looking at the moonlight, he will know in his mind it is the sunlight. Similarly, the wise man will know that he is the Atma behind the body mind. He understands the Turiyam while looking at the Vishwa, while looking at the waker, while the waking state itself is going on, the wise person and Jnani will say that I am not the waker. Exactly like looking at the experience of the moonlight, the wise person will say, I am not the moonlight, I am the sunlight. Similarly, in the waking state, while the activities are all going on, Jnani will know in his own mind that I am that pure consciousness, which is the experiencer, not the experienced body or mind. So previously, I was thinking of three things: Jivatma, Paramatma, and Anatma. Anatma means the Jagat, world. Jivatma means the individual. Paramatma means the creator. After the knowledge of the Mahavakyam, after the knowledge of the scriptures, I say there is only one Atma, Eka Atma, and the rest is Anatma. So the first stage of understanding the Mahavakyam is understanding the Eka Atma and joining the Paramatma and Jivatma oneness. We make this Jivatma and Paramatma as oneness. That means between me and the world, there is only one consciousness existence principle. That is what is stage one of the Mahavakyam. From 105 to 113, we have seen that, which is over. Now, the two other topics which are remaining are the topic of Mithyatva. Mithya means what? That this Anatma, this world which I am experiencing, is an appearance, but it is not Satyam. It is not real. So that is what is taken up for discussion by Totakacharya from the verses 114 to 156. And then in the last section, it is 157 to 170, he says that Atma doesn't have any sorrow. Let's see what we can complete today. So this portion is teaching us how to look at the world as an appearance. Yeah. As illuminator of each avastha, Atma is given a particular name. So like one human being is a daughter or a son, husband, father. With reference to the parents, a person is a son. With reference to the wife, he is a husband. With reference to the children, he is a father. So when we say I am Turiyam, Atma, with reference to the Jagrat Avastha, I am called as the waker. With reference to the dream, I am called as the dreamer. That means the revealer of the dreamer. With reference to the sleep, I am called as the sleeper. That means one same pure consciousness becomes, or it is appearing as the waker, dreamer, and sleeper when the different states of the mind are going on. Three conditions are the incidental names, but the fourth one, which is the Turiyam pure consciousness, is the real state. And in that state, I have no problems, no sorrow. What makes the difference between the three states and the consciousness? It is only the mind's condition. That is why in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 5, there's this particular verse that the body is walking, sleeping, moving, but none of this belongs to Atma. This verse, Pralapan, Visrujan, those who have done the Bhagavad Gita will remember this verse. Very important verse of the Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says that all the activities belong to my lower nature. They are not the higher nature, not the Atma. So this I have discussed, that I am the pure consciousness is the shift which we do once we drop this three names belonging to the three conditions of the mind. Now, in this verse 115, Totakacharya says, is it possible for us to connect the problems which we face in the waking state with the Atma or not? Can we connect? He says we cannot connect the particular problems because they all belong to only the mind. And in another advanced text which we'll be doing next is that Vichara Sagara, where it says everything is in a thought form. All the experiences which we have in the waking state is in the thought form. And once we learn to drop the thoughts, automatically we are the illuminator of the thoughts, which is the Atma. In Mandukya Upanishad, Asparsha Yoga is being discussed. That means the nature of Atma, which is always aloof, which has got nothing to do with the state of the mind, was discussed. And then it said that Atma is Shantam, Shivam, Avyavaharyam, Advaitam, and Turiyam. These are the nature of Atma. Because of this verse in Mandukya Upanishad, this is a pramanam. Pramanam means it's a proof. This Mandukya Upanishad says Atma doesn't have any activity. It is always Shantam, peace. Shiva means auspicious. Advaita means non-dual. Therefore, because Atma is unconnected with the world, and non-dual by nature, we say that the three states is mithya. Mithya means it is an appearance, but it is not connected to the Atma. That's all. Why mind is mithya? Because entire creation is mithya, like a puppet show. And where is this show going on? In pure consciousness. So pure consciousness is the screen or the substratum. The show is going on where? The show is like a magic show, like a puppet show. It keeps on going in the waking state, dream state, sleep state. So if I connect myself to the pure consciousness state, then I can say I have no sorrow in life. So what happens when we learn these scriptures is not that the sorrows are not there, but we learn how to drop the sorrows and say, I am Atma. The learning is more to do with saying, I am the Atma. The two steps which are in this study is what? I am not the mind which has got the problems. I am the pure consciousness. So in 41 verses, he describes, if you want to learn more about how to see this world as an appearance and not a part of the mind or the body, I am not the body, mind, or the universe. They are all conditions of anatma. Then you should study these verses. When you do this text on your own, you can focus on this portion, which teaches us that these conditions of our problems belong to the mind. If this study becomes more deep in our subconscious level, what happens is, while facing the life, we will be able to say, all this is an appearance. I will be able to face this, no problems. I will face it boldly. I will let it come, I will face whatever happens in this universe, but I know that these are not my conditions. These are conditions which belong to the mind, which is awake now. Like the chain, ring, or bangle is nothing but the gold, I will know I am that gold like Atma. I am not the three states. Kaivalya Upanishad says the same thing, that in me alone everything is born, in me alone everything exists, in me alone everything gets dissolved. In me here means what? In me the consciousness. I am that non-dual Brahman. So what does the world consist of? It consists of the five elements. It consists of the products of five elements. The products are like the pot, like the nail cutter from the iron, like the ornament from the gold. But same way, the universe is a karyam, the product. Anatma means it is a product. But what is the substance? Is Atma. That substance is called as Satyam. This product which we experience is called as Mithya. So you should learn the difference between Satyam and Mithya. Satyam means which exists all the time. That illuminating principle, consciousness principle, which illuminates the blankness in the sleep, which illumines the waking state, which illumines my dream state, it never changes. That consciousness, I say, is my real nature. So what is, when we look at the world, we say it is, the drishti is called as Bheda Drishti. Bheda means I see differences. But when I don't see the differences, it is called as Abheda Drishti. So with the three bodies, I will always be looking at the world with differences. But with knowledge of Chaitanyam, I will be looking as Abheda Drishti. Abheda Drishti means that world is only one consciousness. Here also there is an opponent who comes and says that what is prominent? Is Bheda Drishti prominent or Abheda Drishti? So Shankaracharya or Totakacharya refutes the Bheda Drishti. He says that even though you experience the three states with differences, majority of the time, you should not say that that is real, and Abheda which you don't experience but you know through the scriptures, you should say that that is the real and this is the unreal portion. There is a debate here between an opponent and the author. That portion is explained in these few verses, and Veda is only at the mithya level. Mithya level means at the superficial level. Even when a jnani is suffering from bodily pains, and he may be having some problems in the mind also, but then he will boldly say that all this is in me, the pure consciousness. In Taittiriya Upanishad, the wise person, when he learns about this Atma, he says the whole world is appearing in me. I am the power and the wealth in the world. So basically, this is a verse which tells you that this entire creation is all coming in me, the consciousness. The same thing is repeated in Nirvana Shatkam also. Na punyam, na papam, na saukhyam, na dukkham, na mantro, na tirtham, na veda, na yajna, all this aham bhojanam, naiva bhojyam, na bhokta. You see, all these verses, they only talk about how to separate the Atma from the Anatma. So Shruti reveals Mithyatva Sharira Trayam. That means it reveals that there is three bodies which we experience, which are appearances. But oneness is not from the body level, oneness is from the Atma level. And Totakacharya says this creation is also mithya because it is a product. It doesn't have any independent reality. In the 6th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad, this particular point, that world does not have independent reality, is mentioned. Then there is one disciple who says that in the whole Shruti, where is it said that the mind is mithya? You can't say by looking at the mind, and you can't just derive an inference, say that mind is mithya. This is one of the objections which Totakacharya discusses in this. It's just an opponent, but then the only way we can say mind is mithya, body, the three shariram is mithya, is only through the scriptures. The proof of the scriptures is the final proof. We say it is, mind is an appearance, body is an appearance, the world is an appearance. It is only with the help of scriptural proof we can say. Even science does not talk about mind and Atma at all. It only says Atma is, mind is nothing else but the brain. It's only Vedanta says that the mind survives and travels. That is why we say the soul travels from one body to another body and so on. And Totakacharya gives explanations of why we say that the mind is mithya, why the mind is an appearance, not a reality. He gives different Upanishadic proof for this. Chandogya Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, and again Chandogya. 3 verses are given, where 3 different verses are taken up. And where in Mundaka Upanishad, from him is born this prana, the mind and the organs, the akasha. That means here from him means from Atma, the entire creation is born. This is a proof in the Mundaka Upanishad. Then in Chandogya Upanishad, again a similar proof is given. Then from how do I try to in our day-to-day life, if we are able to learn to say that these three avasthas belongs to the mind and it is an appearance, then this is called as Nididhyasana. This Nididhyasana portion is taken up in more detail from 157 to 170 verse, that 157 onwards. This particular portion of Nididhyasana is discussed. A few more examples of where in the Shruti, where the scriptures say that the mind is mithya is taken up here. Etasma jayate pranaha manas sarvendriyani cha kham vayu jyotirapaha prithvi vishwasya dharini. Those who have done the Mundaka Upanishad with me and also the Kaivalya Upanishad, again a quotation where it says that all these are, mind is born from, is a product which is born from Purusha, the Paramatma. Even in Mundaka Upanishad, there is a particular verse which says, see, there are many verses in the scriptures. Totakacharya takes all these verses and gives us a proof that Shruti says this. Our experience also proves that these three states belong to the mind. Our Anubhava says that I exist on my own. So through these three pramanams, that means Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhava, reason, experience, and the scriptures, what he says is, I am free. I am always free as Atma. This is a beautiful text which goes fairly deep into the aspect of the three states, to say that these three states belong to the mind and not the Atma. 156, so Jagan Mithyatvam has been proved from 114 to 156. And the essence of the whole Upanishad is Advaita. Advaita means it is non-dual in nature. As a quick glance, I will try to complete this portion also today. Then we are done. I'll take another 5 minutes extra to tell you a little bit more about what is the balance in the text. So 34 to 113 is Mahavakya Vichara, where we have just discussed Tattvamasi, how oneness is seen, consciousness is seen as the one principle from which the Jivatma and Paramatma, they rise. Anatma is mithya, that means mind is mithya, world is mithya, is from 114 to 156. World is taken as a karyam, a product like pot from clay. Therefore, we say this whole three avasthas are nothing else but products of the mind. Therefore, they are appearances, but the substratum, the clay portion, is the consciousness. The last portion of the text is from 157 to 170, which is only a Nididhyasana portion. It is a meditation portion, where you sit down and say, I am Satyam. I am Satyam, I am observer, consciousness principle. In me, I am, when I look at it from Atma point of view, consciousness point of view, I can say I support, I project the entire universe, because without consciousness, there is no world. And therefore, I can say that Advaitam is what is the reality. Advaitam means what? Consciousness exists independently. World cannot exist independently. Therefore, world is dependent on consciousness, which is my pure nature. Therefore, it is called as, I am called as Satyam. I am immortal. I can live it. That is my nature. That is my Swarupa. So this is a beautiful text which gives you a broad guideline. I've taken some highlights today. I have not gone into too much of depth, but I think you would have got a glimpse of how the text reveals the nature of Atma and especially the nature of the mind, which is the basis for the three avasthas. Atma remains the same consciousness principle throughout these three avasthas, throughout our life, before the life of the body, before the birth of the body, after the death of the body, nothing happens to me, the consciousness. I am ever the same. Before creation of the universe, before seeing the universe, universes come and go because the mind and the body and the universe, they have a law of karma. In this law of karma, I am the observer principle. I am the consciousness principle. I am ever the witness. I am not the witnessed body, mind, or the universe. This is the essence of Sruti Sara Samudharanam. With this, I will close this text and we will take up for our study next week a new text called as Vichara Sagaram. I will quickly run through a new text. It is not going to be in detail. Again, let's see how it goes next week. Thank you very much for this opportunity to take this text with you, because some of the participants requested for this particular text to be taken up, and also the Naishkarma Siddhi. We will finish the Vichara Sagara, and then I will see if there is some interest. I will take some Panchadasi, otherwise I'll go straight to the text called as Saddarshanam. That is our going to be the program after Vichara Sagara. Either it's going to be Panchadasi, a glimpse of Panchadasi, and then we do then we will do Saddarshanam of Ramana Maharshi. That we will be doing verse by verse. Okay, let's close for the day. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Prasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Yeah, does anybody have any questions?
Shekharji?
Yeah, Shama?
Yes, I have two questions. One is this spiritual study, the one which we're doing at the moment. Is it a two-step process? That means you first are disengaging from the anatma by continuously sort of keep looking and being aware what is anatma,
Yes.
and followed by reaffirming atma, or can you do this simultaneously? So that's one question.
Yeah, the first exercise is you have to differentiate between atma and anatma in your own mind. You must get the difference and clearly see the difference, because without you doing this discrimination, this is called as the Viveka Shakti of the mind.
Okay, good.
So
Very
unless
good.
until you get the Viveka Shakti, you cannot go into the second portion of the Mahavakya, which is the Mithyatvam of Anatma.
Okay,
So
but
a lot of time has to be spent in this five step, which I said, Drishyatvam, Savikaratvam, Agama Pahitvam and all that. That internally, which you should keep on dissecting in your own mind and say, this is Atma, this is Anatma, this is Atma, this is Anatma. So much to say, then you should go to the next step of saying the whole waking state is Anatma.
Okay.
So whole dream state is Anatma, whole sleep state is Anatma.
Right.
And then we say that the one which is unifying one consciousness principle, after deleting the three states, the three bodies, then what you say is own up that Atma first.
Okay.
This is step number one.
Okay, just one another question. You were referring to the extroverted and the introverted.
Yes.
And the extroverted being the Jagrata state and the introverted being in the dream state.
Yeah.
But in the Jagrata state, for example, when we are meditating or doing Nididhyasana, because we are not contemplating on external object, are we? No. So
in the Nididhyasana, you only bring the thought of the Atma. You're not talking, you're not bringing in the thought of the world at all. You are only trying to bring the conditions of the sleep state, the dream state, and just say in your own mind, neti, neti, I'm not this, I'm not this.
But is that still extroverted? Because we are not looking at external object.
No, it is not. It is still extroverted from the mind and Sakshi point of view. It is from the Sakshi point of view, it is still extrovert because you are looking at your own mind.
Okay, get it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else has any question?
Yeah, Shekharji, I think I just want to understand that what you said was that really in the discrimination, what we need to do is to constantly first see that subject object very clearly.
Yes.
And then sort of, and that's how the Vedantic study is, that you sort of segregate yourself, the subject object, and then to realize that object is purely an illusion, which appears, and there's only one thing which is a subject. Is that, in a sense, is that you start by taking the two apart to realize that there's only one in the end. And is that the way, is that the process?
Exactly. Yeah, Deepak, you got it exactly. That's right. In the end, you have to say that the object doesn't exist by itself. It depends on the subject. It depends on the consciousness. It depends on Atma.
Yeah. So therefore, it does not have any independent existence as a necklace to a gold.
Yes, that's correct. And that gold is what I am. That Atma is what I am. Therefore, whatever is beyond the three states, that is who I am.
Yeah. So it's in essentially all name, form,
and function
are the functions of the subject.
Yes. They are all the functions of the mind. It has got nothing to do with me. I am the illuminator of these name, form, and function of the objects.
And I always get confused that Anatma is mind and body without the consciousness.
No. Okay, you're right. Anatma means it is the Anatma is the, in that case, what you do, Deepak, is you take the body, mind, ahamkara, and you put it as a part of the world, as a part of the inert world.
Okay.
Okay, so unless and until you learn to do that, that means you put your physical body as a part of the Ishvara, as a part of the world. The mind also as a part of the world. This is called as the binary format. Binary format means I am Atma, everything else is Anatma.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's what yes. Okay.
Binary format, once you reach this binary format, you become a senior student of Vedanta.
Yeah, because I did hear you say that mind and body and the world are objects of experience.
Yes.
You did say that.
Yes.
So therefore, these objects of experience are Anatma.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
These are the objects of experience.
We can tell you that other than consciousness, everything is Anatma.
Exactly. That's right. The moment you make this differentiation between Atma and Anatma clearly in your own mind, Then the next step is to say that Anatma has no independent existence without me, the Atma. That is what is called as the Mithyatva Nishchaya, and that will give you the firmness to live as Atma. Because till you get this Mithyatva Nishchaya, that means the world is an appearance, it exists, and I am the ultimate witness consciousness. And this witness consciousness is the Paramarthika Tattva. It is a higher nature. It is not the body-mind complex with the world which I see in the waking state. No, it is not. Therefore, therefore, I have to drop this whole state and say I am a higher nature, I am pure Atma, in which there is no world, no body, no mind. Once I accept that that is my real nature, that is called as Amritatva Praptihi, immortality. Because that is what is called as beyond time. Time cannot touch Atma. Time cannot touch Atma means time cannot touch me. Everything else happens in time.
Yeah.
And what is it? Because Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta doesn't talk about Nirvikalpa Samadhi. It does not talk about all these
they don't.
So,
Advaita does not talk about Nirvikalpa Samadhi because they don't. They say even.
But how do you capture? This is always a question I've asked. How do you capture this state of Satchitananda as a living being? As a living being.
Yeah, Deepak, this is only an understanding of the intellect, nothing to do with this, with the seeing and trying to make it as an object of yourself. You cannot make Atma as an object. It is only knowing. It is knowing that
It's an awareness principle. As you have rightfully
yes,
said.
It is an awareness principle. It is a pure being, a state of pure being in which there is no world.
So when you say, when I embed this awareness as absolute reality and not bookish knowledge, that moment it becomes a paradigm shift of consciousness that I experience.
Exactly.
And that is enlightenment.
That is enlightenment. That is their self-enlightenment. That's all.
So can we say that that we have to move into a space of conscious living in awareness?
That's correct. You when you want to, yes.
Where sorrow doesn't touch us.
Where sorrow doesn't touch us.
Because if there is, you are unaffected by it.
Yes,
because you're so deeply steeped in this awareness principle.
Yes, that's correct. You see, you are bringing that knowledge into living. Then you are called as Jivan Mukta.
Yes.
That is what is called as Jivan Mukta. I bring that knowledge into my day-to-day living. Morning to evening, I work hard. I do all the activities with whatever needs to be done. I do it in the perfect manner. At the same time, I say I am unconnected with all this.
I just have one more question.
One more thing is, this is what is the entire text of Ashtavakra Gita. There is a beautiful text called as Ashtavakra Gita, in which right from chapter 1 to last chapter, there is only the many slokas there in the Ashtavakra Gita, and this is how King Janaka he was ruling the whole kingdom, but he says, I am ruling the kingdom. That is only in my Vyavarika Avastha, but I am unconnected with the whole kingdom itself. As a king, yes, I'm ruling it. I am as a boss, yes, I have got some things to do at home, at the office, I have to do things, but I am unconnected. So that once you get that feeling of firm in that feeling, once that is what is called as abidance in Atma Jnanam. And it takes time to get this abidance. It is not easy. It takes time because your mind has to throw away all the wrong thoughts, which is done by Nididhyasana. It comes with repeated studying of different scriptures also.
So the binary format is still not It's not ekam eva advitiyam. It's still.
Yes, the binary format has to be lived and say yes. Only when you live that binary format, then you can say Aham Brahmasmi. Then there is no more rebirth for you because the same Ahankara realizes and drops the status of Ahamkara and takes the new status of Sakshi. And as Sakshi, you can live ever with or without the body. Because you're not looking forward to anything in life. You know I am pure consciousness.
So through increasing Nididhyasana, development of Viveka Shakti comes.
Yes.
And in proportion to the development of Vivek Shakti, we are actually embracing Atma, and Anatma is disappearing. Yes,
that's correct. The process, I think, right from Sajeev, Deepak, Shama, whatever you have spoken, the process I can understand now has got very clear in your mind. The process is clear, and it is only question of how to make that happen in our own lives. That's all.
Just one question. You said something about in our Jagrat transactional relationship, you do not think about Atma. Did you say that?
Yeah, I said don't think about Atma while we are transacting in the world.
But
let the mind get totally focused in the activity. That's it.
But what if you are spontaneously aware, because you can actually see that, a part of you is doing that, but a part of it is just only observing. So that's what I meant,
Yeah, if you're able to do that, it's fine. It's okay.
I mean, it's spontaneous. You don't consciously do that.
That means it's sinking into your subconscious mind all the time that I am Atma. That's all. Very good. If you're able to do it.
Because you can laugh at yourself, actually.
Yes, you can laugh at yourself, you can laugh at the world, you can laugh at whatever is going on around the world because you know that I am Atma.
Yeah. Okay.
And everything is just an experience, that's all. It just will come and go.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Come in the morning, how is it going in the evening? With Corona, without Corona, so much of news we get, so many problems we face, but still the next day comes again,
Yeah.
It's another fresh day, another fresh night comes, again a fresh day comes, another fresh night comes. True and true, we are always that unconnected consciousness.
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay.
I have one small doubt.
Yeah.
You keep giving example of Sri Dakshinamurti Srutam.
Yes.
And that verse 4 of Dakshinamurti Srutam, we find that Nanaschitra Gata Udara Stito Mahadipa Prabhavasharam.
Yes.
Okay. In that particular Sruta, that means the Mahadip, that is the main consciousness. And through the holes, the light which is coming, that is getting reflected in our mind, that is reflected consciousness.
Yes.
What we are.
So we are that we are
reflected consciousness.
No, we are the original consciousness, which is never comes in the Vyavahara at all.
That is the Mahadip, which is there in that Mahaghar.
Yes.
So through the whole, whatever light is coming, that is getting reflected from my mind.
Yes, you see, I am getting reflected in the mind. The mind is going through the entire world experiences.
So what I am experiencing is reflected consciousness.
Exactly. What you are experiencing is only reflected consciousness, plus the mind also inside the reflected consciousness. Because the mind is not, you can never separate the mind from with reflected consciousness. They're always intertwined with each other.
Right. And the characteristics of this, my small reflected consciousness and the Mahadip is same.
Yes. The characteristic of the reflected consciousness, the Mahadip is the same. That means it is awareness only.
Right.
It is that is why this entire text has been taken up, that mind is one portion. Now you differentiate the mind with the reflected consciousness.
Right. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. I'm very glad that the entire class is, I mean, asking very, very deep questions. I'm very happy to see that the knowledge has gone extremely deep into the minds of, all of you. Okay.
We are trying to remain in this state all the time.
Yes, but don't worry. But don't worry. You see, the life will still have its ups and downs. Live with the life and just take it as it comes. And the knowledge, if it remains with you, that is the most important thing. And the more we keep reminding ourselves, that is why the study is not a one-stop process. It's a continuous study. It just keeps on. You keep on doing different texts. It keeps us, in touch with our core nature. That's all. Okay, we will see you all next week then. Those of you who have not joined the divine quotations group, you can join because we have separated the divine quotes into another group. In case you have not, you just send a message, we'll put you into the group. There are beautiful quotes which are coming up every day from the group in the Divine Quotes WhatsApp forum. About 150 quotes have already come in of different people, right from Ramana Maharishi, all the quotes which are coming in, a very beautiful contribution by the seekers of this group. If you would like to see the quotations, you can join the group. And we also have a conversation group, but that is separate, where you need to ask questions and get answers from the group. That is a separate group. So we have 3 groups now in the WhatsApp. One is the class group, where I just give the details of the classes. The second is the Divine Quotation group, which gets only the quotations from Ramana Maharishi, from Nisarga Datta, then so many people, Chinmayananda, so, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, then Eckhart, all these people. So next week we'll start with Vichara Saga. We'll start with Vichara Sagara, a new text, and then we'll see how it goes in the future. Thank you. Good night. हाँ बोलो.
Hello. Ji.
बोलो बाबा.
This one, you were saying that Vishwa born out of Nidra, Nidra. What do you mean by?
Nidra means it's a Shakti, the sleep. Nidra means the Shakti by which you go to sleep. The Vishwa means that I, the Baubai, who is there in the waking state, it is born from that Shakti, from that sleep state, the whole waking state comes up.
Oh, so Mahanidra means
Mahanidra means that you are asleep after you leave this body. You leave this body, then you take up another body, right? The Mahanidra means that you are always taking body after body, but you are in the sleep to the bodies. Whenever the body comes, you are asleep to it. That is called as Mahanidra. Mahanidra means you know your consciousness. You are pure. That means even when the bodies come in future lives, you are always in that Mahanidra. Mahanidra is the Vikshepa Shaktiya Paramatma.
Oh. Another one question is...
the sleep state of Paramatma is called as Mahanidra. Like we have a Nidra of say a few hours, right? So the sleep state of Paramatma is called Mahanidra.
Oh. Another question is, secondly, your verse 36 says, Jivatma and Atma, are they the same?
Jivatma and Atma. See, whenever we remove the word, remove the body and the mind from us, suppose you remove the body called as Bhavuvai and you remove the mind called as Bhavuvai, what remains is called as Atma. The moment you add body and mind, then it becomes Jivatma. It becomes Ahamkara. The Jivatma is nothing but Aham, I, which you feel throughout the waking day. That is, with the body and mind, it is called as Jivatma. Without the body and mind, like how are you in your sleep state? There is no body, there is no mind. So what you are in the sleep state is Atma.
Because this Atma and Paramatma is quite confusing between the Ji-Atma.
Yes, yes. It is confusing because I'll tell you why. See, Jivatma, okay, now I'll clarify that out. Jivatma means one body, that means this body above by is called as Jivatma. Now, this universe does not consist of only this Bhavai. It consists of so many bodies and also so many objects in the world. In the vision of the scriptures, this body, which if I take myself out from this body, that means Atma and body mind are different. Similarly, what the scripture says is that you take the whole world as a body of one Chetana, that means one conscious being. That conscious being is called as Paramatma. From that Paramatma, you remove the body, you remove the world. So what he is also called as Atma. Like me, I remove my body and my mind. From the world, I remove that conscious, big conscious, pure being. I remove the whole world as his body. All the bodies which are there, I remove from him. Because all the bodies are nothing but the five elements. But the five elements belongs to whom? It belongs to Paramatma. So from Paramatma, if you remove the five elements, what is there is pure Atma. So that pure Atma of Bhagavan and pure Atma of mine is the same. That is why we say there is only one Atma.
Only the name given, but three different ways.
That's correct. You see, that's correct. You just drop the names and say this is only a name and a form. So I learned to drop the name and form, and then I only retain the essence, which is called as consciousness, which is called as Atma.
So Ji-Atma is Hamkara.
Yes, that's correct. You got it perfect now. Jiva-Atma is Ahamkara.
The other Atma is pure and Paramatma is a pure consciousness.
Yes, that's correct. Very good. Baba, you got it very well now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Shikiji, I was just going to ask, is it possible that, your presentations, those slides, is it possible to get them as a PDF? I know we can hear your, this thing.
No, I will send tomorrow with this thing. I will send you the entire PDF of these notes.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All what you have seen today as slides, I will send it tomorrow with the video.
Because that's really condensed and it's really nice to be able to go through.
This 60-80 pages of mine, I will send it to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Shekhaji, I had a quick question. If you have some time.
Tell me.
Earlier in the class, you had explained that Totakacharya explains Aham Brahmasmi using Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhava. What exactly does the Anubhava part contain?
Anubhava is that experience. Anubhava means experience of waking, dream, and sleep. Totakacharya says, don't take the Anubhava experience of, like you say, I take the experience of moonlight experience is an experience. But I know that moonlight is not moonlight, it is sunlight. So similarly, the waking state experience will continue. Waking, dream, sleep, this will continue. But in the heart of hearts, I know that this is all only an appearance. I am that pure consciousness. That's all. It's an intellectual cognition.
Right.
It's
still the analysis of the experience itself.
So don't analyze the experience too much, because you will. It's all mithya. I mean.
You need it for the neti part, right?
Yes, you need it for neti because you drop. That is one method by which you try to learn to drop the experiences.
Okay.
Here he tells you, he teaches in this text, he says these experiences are appearances. They are mithya. So that is what this Totakacharya's text is very famous for. If I want to learn how to see Mandukya Upanishad also, when you have gone through that Upanishad, it only tells you very vaguely, it might tell you that, world is mithya and so on, but here he goes a little bit deeper. Totakacharya gives his own personal experiences and says, this is how you convert the world into mithya.
I see. Okay.
This text is a personal experience of Totakacharya of how he learned to drop this world as mithya and claim Atma as his original nature.
Right.
This text is easier to understand compared to the other two texts like Naishkarma Siddhi is very difficult. Vichara Sagra, it will take you 10 years to study that text. Because it's so deep and so, if you really want to do the Vichara Sagra, it will take you a long time. But,
I see.
And it's an abstract text. Whereas this text is easier. If you read my notes of these two, of say the 200 pages or so, no, maybe 400 pages. There are two books, two volumes of this in the website. You can just skim through it if you would like to,
Right.
And
I used Naishkarmi Siddhi a little bit to read up on some of the earlier classes.
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can go through my notes of all this Naishkarmi Siddhis, Sruti Sara and Vichara Sagra, but they are difficult texts, and it takes they are a little. See, why they are difficult is because sometimes they go into these arguments, opponent and explanation of the argument, and it becomes a little abstract because these topics are quite abstract by themselves. And then if you, the authors, they had a different type of audience during that time,
Right.
So, and we are in a different world today. So our world is slightly different compared to some of the experience they quote in these texts, and it takes a lot of patience to go through these three texts. I mean, I can tell you for sure because these three texts, Naishkarma Siddhi, Sruti Sara, and Vichara Sagra, are they are advanced texts, but at the same time they are very useful because when you read the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads, you are not able to apply it in your own mind. See, that is the problem. Whereas these three texts, especially Vichara Sagra, tells you step by step, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time to go through these verses.
I see. Because by reading the Mandukya Upanishad, it was like after I finished reading it, I kind of actually even before that, I sort of understand what most of the scriptures are talking about, the Brahman, how to but what is it that I would be missing, or is there something that conceptually I understand?
No, there is some big element, a big picture you're still missing. That will come to you when you go through the advanced text. There is another big picture. Initially, when we learn the text, we feel that we have understood.
Right.
But there is another picture which you will get through advanced text.
I see.
You will get it. For sure you will see, oh my God, this is a totally different picture, That picture comes, it takes time, but it will come. It is a totally different picture of abiding in pure Atma. That picture is what you are missing today.
Right.
You think that you know, but actually you don't know. You're still in Dvaitam.
Okay.
From Dvaitam to jump to Advaitam, that pole vault, that pole vault happens only when you do the advanced texts.
I see. By advanced text, you mean the Naishkarma Siddhi?
I would say easier text to do will be, if you can do Naishkarma, it's fine, but that's a difficult, but you can go through these three texts. Then you see whether you're able to get a bigger picture.
Right.
Because you have done the Gita, you have done the Upanishads, you have done the Brahma Sutra. That's why I'm telling you, you're still missing a bigger picture. And that bigger picture comes only when you get some finer aspects of understanding when you do Vichara Sagara. Vichara Sagara is out of the three texts, I will say that Vichara Sagara is the number one.
Okay.
In terms of depth, in terms of the knowledge which you can pick up for personal, a personal realization.
I see.
It is Vichara Sagara. That is the ultimate.
Okay.
And you will see it when I do the text next week. You will see it, but again, I won't be going to the depth of it because I'm still doing the text myself. I have not completed the text.
I see.
So these advanced texts, they do give us a picture which you can't get through the other texts. They do definitely, especially like I tell the Vichara Sagara, because the questions the student asks and the replies you get from the teacher, they give you a different picture of what you have missed in your learning.
Right. I had that experience in while reading the Mandukya
Yes,
Upanishad,
the
where
same experience you'll get one more time when you do the Vichara.
right. Because some of the third or fourth parts of
with this Totakacharya's this thing, I don't think you will get that impact. With Naishkarmi Siddhi, you may not get the same impact, but with Vichara Sagara, you will see a different impact. Okay. Then, of course, then it's just a question of continuously being with the scriptures. That's all.
I see. The part where you said the big gap between the Dvaitam and the Advaitam, it's in that part of understanding the I versus the thoughtless state, or that I am part, right?
Yes.
That silence, understanding that.
You see, the Dvaitam, ultimately, the entire Dvaitam has to be absorbed into Advaitam.
Right.
Till this, your mind is able to completely, with complete conviction, you are able to say, there is only Advaitam in the world, there is no Advaitam. If your mind is able to say that 200%, then you have realized that self. Till your own intellect, is able to, because you see, your intellect will keep throwing questions. Sometimes it will say what all this, all scriptures is only meant for, it's not meant for day-to-day living, but actually it is meant for day-to-day living.
Right.
If I can live that Advaitam on a day-to-day basis and still continue my work, continue working, whatever you're doing, till your own intellect tells you that I have learned what the scriptures say, but to 200% with 200% conviction. That conviction is what changes once you do a higher text.
I see. Is there anything that specifically you found new while studying the Vichara Sagara which you didn't which you didn't get while you were studying the Naishkarmi Siddhi?
Yeah, the main thing is Advaitam. The main thing which comes out is how Advaitam is the truth. Advaitam is the ultimate truth. That comes out fantastically in Vichara Sagara, because so many new things you realize, oh, this is how I thought, but then this is not right. One of the main important factors is you always kept the body or the mind as a standard and you kept on analyzing.
Right.
You have to drop the body and mind as a standard, but take Atma as the standard.
Yes.
Take that as a standard and analyze your waking. Take that as a standard, analyze your dream. Take that as a standard, analyze your sleep. And then you say that is a standard, and these three are all mithya. They are all coming and going. So this new vision I got only from Vichara Sagar.
But how do you analyze anything else
Otherwise,
from?
I used to think, for example, I always used to take the body, mind, and then keep on analyzing Atma, which is a wrong method.
But
You take Atma and then you analyze body and mind. That's the right method.
But when you already switch your point of view to Atma, there is nothing left to analyze, right? Because there is already, there is no Dvaitam anymore.
Yes, there is nothing else to analyze. Absolutely nothing. Zero. There's complete Advaitam. But you have to reach that level. You have to reach that level and hold on to that level, and with a conviction that all my experiences are appearances. Taking the life as an as a dream is a very difficult aspect of intellectual conviction. You know,
Right.
it is very difficult to accept it, because we have a deha vasana. You see, we have a dehatma vasana in us, and this dehatma vasana is difficult to cross. And this dehatma vasana can be crossed only when you understand Maya. And Maya means how it covers the nature of Atma and projects the world. See, the nature of Maya to these two, the powers of Maya, that means the wheeling Shakti of ignorance, Maya Shakti, and the projection power of that ignorance. This is something totally you get to know only in Vichara Sagar.
I see.
The analysis of Maya, the analysis of these two Shaktis, you have never seen in any other text except Vichara Sagar. Pages and pages and pages of material, you know, written on this Maya Shakti.
I see. Shekharji, but in the past you had mentioned during when we used to speak after class that while you are interacting in the waking state in your day-to-day activities, you can't separate yourself as Atma, or you can't even take that point of view of Atma, because you have to interact with your daily environment. And
that's
so on.
correct. Yeah.
But then being in that Atma, the ideal way to do it is only in the seat of meditation, right?
Correct. Only in the seat of meditation you can say that I am the Atma. Even gurus, when I speak to realized masters, you know, they say that only in the seat of meditation I can then say I am Atma. But when I'm out of meditation, I'm in Vyavahara. That's all. I just do all the actions which is required in the waking state, as whatever it comes and goes, whatever I have to do, I do. That's all.
Then where does that, just now you mentioned a term, right? Deha something where...
Deha Abhimana.
Where does that come in then? Like you mentioned that as like
Yeah, Deha Abhimana comes when you are in meditation itself. You see, in meditation itself, the Deha Abhimana comes and then it disturbs you.
Oh, I see.
That Manas Abhimana comes and then it disturbs you. That disturbance never stop, you know.
Right.
So
is the way around it constant practice and study?
Yes,
and
the way is just continuously study. Continuously study. Let the mind. It's a growth of the mind actually. So slowly the mind grows. It is not a 1 day, 2 day process. It's a shift in the entire thought process, and this takes time. It is not one-time study of Atma. It is a gradual build-up. It builds up, and then a time comes when you clearly says, yes, now I know what the scriptures are saying, and I accept 200%.
Okay. But Upanishads don't necessarily do those analyses.
No,
right? It should just get straight to Atma directly?
Upanishads do not do the analysis at all. They just describe that this is what is Atma, and they don't go to the depth of trying to how I can see Upanishads. They reveal the Atma to us. They don't talk about an Atma world at all because that is not the subject matter of the Upanishads.
Right.
The subject matter of the Upanishads is clearly to reveal Atma. That's all. So you will find Adrishyam, Nanta Prajnam, Na Bahish Prajnam. You find every Upanishad will tell you about Atma and its nature.
Right.
Every Upanishad, you will get that. But it will not tell you what are the problems you will face, and it will not tell you why you are not able to realize it. That comes out in these advanced texts.
I see.
Especially Vichara Sagara, because you will learn once when I deal with it next week, I will give you a glimpse of it. I won't be going to the depth like how I did with Totaka, this particular text of Sruti Sara,
Right.
So you will get to know why there are obstacles in understanding the scriptures clearly.
Okay. Could you include some of these examples that you were referring to just now, like where the perspective point of view makes it
See
difficult?
that I don't know how deep others will be interested. You see, you are a very deep student. You have gone into the depth, and you're trying to. Anyway, I'll try to explain.
But I think the others might also find it useful, because I was listening to the earlier questions where people were still discussing about experiencing or staying in the state or something like that. But
yeah, you see, the thing is that I have written about 1,800 pages notes, and to take 1,800 pages and trickle down to 20 pages or something and to explain the 20 pages, because they're all interconnected.
yes.
You see, each topic is interconnected to the next topic, with the next topic,
I see.
So unless you go through the whole text right from the beginning and say verse by verse, verse by verse, verse by verse, then it is easy.
I see. When you're studying these texts, what do you use to study?
Sorry?
What are you using to study these texts? Like,
I
are
mean,
you listening?
I use the textbooks. I use because not much material is also available in this. Mainly talks and textbooks, and that's all. It's just you learn, and then some notes are also available.
Okay.
So I go through the notes. Go through the. If you are interested, I will later on. I will explain to you how to do these texts.
Sure.